All right, guys, no intro at all. I am going to be recording, or reading, a few horror stories while in a supposedly haunted cemetery here in Erie. So, let's get started. I've got two cameras going. Oh, no way. Hold on. Get that turned off. All right, we're going to record that. Yeah, so I've got two cameras going, and I know it's a little dark. You can't see me. That's part of the whole spiel. We're going to kind of do like passive ghost hunting as I read these stories. So get some popcorn, get a drink, maybe lie in bed, and get cozy because I'm going to be reading a few cemetery ghost stories. And this story is by a deleted user, unfortunately, so I can't give credit, but I will be reading it. All right. So the other night, my boyfriend, daughter, 3.5-year-old female, and I were walking in the cemetery a few blocks from our house. We drove because we wanted maximum walking time with the toddler. We planned to play Pokemon Go. As we entered the main entrance and after a few steps, I started to feel nauseous and worried. I also felt anxiety for no reason, and I didn't know why, so I just ignored it. We wanted to check out the huge headstones towards the middle of the cemetery, so we made sure to head our way over. We noticed a car parked with its lights off, no front license plate, passenger and back doors wide open, and the man is halfway in the back seat. He's parked on the side of the... Oh... What was that? Jeez. Okay. This is already getting interesting. Sorry about that. He's parked on one of the sides with the big headstone. I'm just going to preface right now that this is horribly written. Vocabulary is off. Sentence structure is horrible, but we're going to get through it. Okay. He's parked on one of the sides where the big headstones are, which ended up being the priests. We walked through and the guy noticed us. He closed the doors that were open, then went around to the driver's side and got in the car. He sat there and just watched us. So we veered away from him and went down a different path. My daughter all of a sudden said, "They're so loud." And I said, "Who?" And she said, "The rocks. They're talking to me." Well, she might be on some drugs. My mouth drops open. We didn't tell her anything about the cemetery or headstones. She has no idea what they are other than big rocks. We ended up leaving, and as soon as we drove away, my nausea eased up. I told my boyfriend about feeling sick, and he freaked out and explained EMF to me. Creepy. Ooh. We went to the store and passed the cemetery on the way home again. His car was still there. He left after we pulled down our street we lived on. We've had one other paranormal experience with her before, which I will post. This was the second time that afterlife ghost spirits, ... something exists. And it's confirmed for me. Later that night, she was talking about the rocks again and said that they were watching us. I said, "What did they look like?" She said, "Shadows." She said they looked like this, and then proceeds to make a worried expression. She told me they couldn't walk with us and had to stay by the rocks. Were the spirits warning us about that man, or are there maybe some not-so-good spirits at that cemetery? All right. Minus the grammar. Pretty solid story. Very interesting. For some reason, kids are always able to see things that we don't. So it's very, very cool to kind of get in that headspace. But it's also weird because you don't understand what they're saying. All right. This story is called "Something Extremely Creepy Happened at the Cemetery and I Need Advice" by Illustrious Show 797. Long story short, I was visiting the cemetery looking for a particular gravestone. Getting near to it, I suddenly felt an overpowering sense of emotional pain that wasn't mine. Extreme suffering is the only way I can describe it. No words, no voices, or anything came through. Just an overpowering raw emotion. A darkness that I can't put words to. It suddenly hit me out of nowhere. No expectation whatsoever. I felt extremely emotional. I felt like I wanted to fall to the ground, as if I just watched the whole world die. In my mind's eye, it looked like gray TV static, and for several hours afterwards, I had the incessant need to cry repeatedly without knowing why. It was someone else's emotions, and I can't explain it any other way. It comes back even if I think about it or try my best to bury this memory. There were no other signs of paranormal activity. This was my first major paranormal experiment. This was my first major paranormal experience. Was this a ghost, residual, the deceased person I was visiting, a relative, is rumored to have been murdered? Something is not at rest there, and I feel guilty just leaving it. What do? I feel like I lack the means to fix it myself. Should I find a psychic, medium, paranormal investigator? I appreciate any thoughts. Very interesting. Just leave it alone. Go home. You're tired. Okay. This one is by Jazz Like News 777, and the story's called I Walked Past a Cemetery at 3 a.m. Oh, that's a mosquito. Jeez. I'm hearing some weird noises. Kind of freaky out here. So I'm walking to my new job at FedEx, and my dumbass didn't realize I had to walk past a cemetery. Mind you, my shift is from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. I've walked past many cemeteries in my life. I'm 21 male, by the way. So I had a pretty lit up highway on my left, and on my right was a large cemetery. No cars, no people, just me. As I kept walking, I start feeling uneasy about the vibes. It wasn't fear nor the fact I was scared, but it was dreadfulness and sadness overall. And to make matters worse, I completely didn't realize it was 3 a.m. at that time. I tried to look straight forward and not acknowledge the fact that I had a cemetery 6 feet away from me, just engulfed in complete darkness. But I couldn't, and I can't really explain what I felt, but it was awful. Like a heavy feeling of sadness, but it felt cold. After walking for 20 minutes straight and realizing I had another 15 minutes, I decided to go back home. As I started walking back, I started to hear the grass rustling as if someone was following me. Honestly, I think my mind was playing tricks, but the whole time I felt like I was being watched. I've had a good amount of paranormal encounters in my life, so I'm familiar with the feeling, and I just felt so afraid at that point. I just wanted to share this experience with everyone because this really has had me emotionally distressed. Feel free to share your experiences. Okay. Well, that's pretty crazy. Honestly felt I had to walk in here pretty much by myself, so yeah. It's pretty weird and creepy. All right, let's look for one more. Ooh. This one is called Unsettling Cemetery Experience. Aren't they all? And by user Vonews. Okay. I'm going to preface this post by saying that paranormal experiences are not abnormal for me. I have seen ghosts many times over my life, and my mum claims to have seen me playing with them as a child. My mum was a psychic medium, so I spent a good deal of my childhood around this stuff. But those experiences are for another post, thank God. This little blurb is just to assure you that I've had experience with the paranormal before and that what I experienced is considered abnormal. I'm just going to skip that. This was a few years ago in my very early 20s. I'm mid-late 20s now. I hadn't had any paranormal experiences since a little while after my mom died when I was a teenager. I started to think the things I had experienced didn't happen at all. General denial. One night, on a whim, while driving around a suburb near my house, I managed to convince my boyfriend to come with me to the local cemetery. I was going through a bit of an edgy phase and thought going to the cemetery at night would be cool. Well, it is. I just want to let you know it's very cool, but very stupid. You might get trespassed, and I might too, so can't upload this from jail. Anyway, I didn't believe in ghosts hanging around in the cemetery, so I thought it'd be fine. And in parentheses, I believe that ghosts usually hung around the places they died or places that had unfinished business, and it was very unlikely they'd be hanging around a graveyard. Good point. It was sometime in October, but not Halloween. We got to the cemetery around 11:30 p.m. and screwed around in the car for a bit before getting out sometime after 12 a.m. Good shit. Very proud. We had our phones with us, and we're using them as torches. Yeah, see, I knew they were British by the use of mum, but this is just worse. Okay. We hopped the fence to the cemetery and started to look at all the graves, pointing out the most interesting ones and the kind of just screwing around. Oh yeah, that's a typo. They were just kind of screwing around. The place was completely deserted, as cemeteries tend to be at 12 a.m. God, I hope. Not right now. We walked further and further in and entered a part of the cemetery where the graves were quite a bit larger and much older. By now, it had likely been around half an hour. As we were walking down the path, my boyfriend commented that there was a strange smell lingering around, which was extremely weird as my boyfriend cannot smell at all. He lost his sense of smell due to a bunch of infections and other problems with his ears and sinuses as a child. I don't know the 100% details of the problems, though. Well, problem is you live in England. That's the main problem. I couldn't smell anything, and I have an above average or above normal sense of smell, so we both shrugged the experience off. I was looking at one of the graves sometime later when my boyfriend shook my shoulder, and at one point, he pointed at the largest grave a few meters into the distance. I'm terrible at knowing where people are pointing, but this time, I spotted it right away. It was a little girl. I'd guess around 11 or 12 years old, called Chris Hansen. She had a very dark brown or black hair that looked well cared for and quite long. She was sitting on top of the grave with her legs dangling over the edge. At first, I saw her wearing a lacy white dress, like a nightgown a rich girl would wear. It looked old, but I'm no expert, so I couldn't tell you how old. Maybe 1900s? But I looked away at my boyfriend, and when I looked back again, she was wearing a different dress. All I remember is that it was red, because at this point, I was super scared. Something about the whole situation felt wrong to me. I felt extremely fearful, and due to the fact ghosts were very normal for me, this was extremely unusual. Just like that hiccup on my part. It was extremely unusual. Don't make fun of me. I'd never felt unsafe seeing a ghost before. It was around this time I noticed that the cemetery was eerily quiet. No sound of bats. There were a lot of fruit bats in that area. Okay, more context. Or any other animals, in the air felt stale and stagnant. We just stood and stared at the little girl for what felt like an eternity. Weirdly transfixed, and then we both ran for it, up the path full speed. I turned for a second to see if she was still there, and she was gone completely. It made me run faster, honestly, and the whole run out, we were both dead silent. When we were back at our car, we sat there for ages, trying to work out what we saw, trying to rationalize it. As if we both had paranormal experiences before, we knew it had to be a ghost. For a few months afterwards, I continuously felt like I was being watched, and had frequent nightmares about seeing the little girl in our apartment. I always felt uneasy. We eventually moved apartments around 30 minutes away, and the feelings and dreams stopped. I've since tried to research the ghost, but haven't turned anything up. Though there is a local ghost tour at that cemetery, and maybe the guide might know something. Ever since then, my paranormal experiences have been more frequent, and I've been getting more unsettling and disturbing. I'm covered in cobwebs. Jeez. My boyfriend has been experiencing things more frequently as well. I may write another post soon about more recent experiences if anyone is interested. You know, that is crazy. I have also had my experience with a ghost girl in the cemetery before. The white lacy dress kind, so it was very creepy. All right, well, I think that does it. This is more of like a test video. Oh shit. Lights off, lights off.
Maybe.
Hello?
Hello?
Don't worry, we're not ghosts. We're scared of you just as
Yeah.
as much as you're
Oh. We. Oh, sir. Oh my God. We thought you were like security.
Yeah. Oh god.
We were doing a ghost video here, and jeez, sorry about that.
I hope we didn't scare you.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Guy.
All good with you though?
Oh, don't shine at him.
Oh, sorry. All good with you?
Yeah. Oh, did you grab my go? Oh yeah.
Still.
All right, guys. So I kind of want to explain what happened post the events that you saw in the video in greater detail, at least, because it was very, very weird. So as you saw at that clip at the end, I had just wrapped up the story, and before I could do a little outro, we saw a car pulling up. And, you know, our first thought was, oh, shoot, it's security, it's the police. So, because online it did say the cemetery's closed, which makes sense. That's how most are anyway. So any cars driving through at almost midnight would definitely be security, right? Well, we were wrong. So as you saw, we kind of scrambled a little bit. I was trying to pack my equipment up, and I kind of dropped half of it. Yeah, I don't like dropping my equipment. So we were hiding behind the mausoleum, my friend Latif and I, and we see this random car pull up right in front of the mausoleum we were hiding behind. And this suspicious looking guy gets out of the car. And for one, he didn't have anything security like on him. He wasn't dressed like security, wasn't dressed like police. Once we saw like what the car looked like, we knew it wasn't police at all. So he just gets out of the car, and that's when you kind of hear in the video. Well, I've got some audio. We'll see if I play that. He gets out of the car and like suspiciously walks towards the water's edge, kind of where the last bit of tombstones are. So yeah, Lake Erie, for reference, is right there. We are right on the shore of Lake Erie. And he's walking towards it. And that's when Latif and I decide to light him up with our flashlights. And, you know, after identifying him, I kind of told Latif to just turn off his light and don't flash him in the eyes. But funnily enough, you heard us go, hello, hello. And when we lit him up, instead of saying anything back to us, he tried to like jokingly play it off with us by going, "Ah," within the flashlight's light, I guess. It's just kind of hard to describe. Yeah, so he kind of jokingly made a face at us after we asked if he was a ghost. He just went, "Ugh." It was really funny. It was funny in that moment. But he played it off. We knew he was joking. But what was weird was after he played it off, he immediately turned around, and instead of continuing whatever he was there to do, he just kind of walked back to his car. And that's when we were kind of asking him questions, asking if he's okay. He didn't say a single word. He just abandoned whatever mission he was on and walked back to his car and drove away. So, okay, that's weird. Makes for good YouTube, though. So I'm like, okay, well, I wish we were still recording because I'm not done there. As I was packing up the equipment, I kind of dropped. Latif kind of motioned to something behind me, and I turned around, and there's this guy with his dog walking between the tombstones, like right at us. And I'm just like, what the hell? So Latif lights him up, and I'm like, no, Latif, don't do that. And he goes, don't worry, sir. We're more afraid of you than you are of us.
It's okay. As much as you may be scared of us. Okay.
And the guy just goes, we're not afraid of you. And I don't know, him and his dog just mysteriously disappeared in the tree line. Like after that encounter, he walked off with the dog and he was gone. And there's only one entrance. So he just kind of went into the woods and disappeared with this dog. So that was very, very, very suspicious. And I'm like, all right, that's when I knew we need to get out of there. Like it was just crazy. It was insane. Well, and finally, as we were walking away, it was like a mile walk to the entrance. This is a very lengthy cemetery, by the way. But we were walking towards the entrance, and there's this random Hummer parked in front of one of the maintenance buildings. It was just sitting there with its lights as bright as they possibly could be, with a trailer attached to it. And we walked right in front of it. But what was weird was nobody rolled the windows down. They saw us for sure. They definitely saw us if somebody was in that car. And the lights were still on, so with their high beams, no less. But whoever was in that car didn't even bother to ask why we were there. We weren't going to ask him why he was there, but he didn't bother to ask why we were there. I mean, I'm sure he saw, maybe saw the guy with his dog walking around. Anyway, it just felt like we were in a GTA server or something. It was really weird. Everybody chose to just come to that cemetery at the same time as us when we were filming this video and do whatever they were doing, just kind of meandering, or God knows what that first guy was going to do. But, we took precautions. Got back to my car. The car was unscathed. We were unscathed. We just kind of got in there and whipped it the hell right out of there. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for watching. This video is kind of an experimental video per se. The whole horror niche on YouTube is extremely oversaturated by a lot of either AI, really talented individuals, or just, I don't know what, but it's super oversaturated. And I just wanted to try something new. Let me know if you guys like this. I plan on reading horror stories in the environments that they have been recounted from. So like if I did a cryptid horror story video, I'd go sit out in the woods in front of a fire and read those. So let me know if you think that's cool or interesting. Maybe we'll catch something. I'm hopefully going to be doing more investigations myself and then uploading those, because those are a lot more fun than just reading stories. But I'm still going to do some readings. I might upload some readings with some like gameplay footage. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment what you want to see down below, and have a very spooky rest of your day.
You know what's funny? I was going to name this video Reading Ghost Stories in a Cemetery Gone Wrong. It did go wrong.
Yeah.